Hey, hey. Welcome everybody to Miss Glow's Kitchen, where there's sugar, spice, and everything nice, where we slice, dice, and entice, using everything we can, from peppers to allspice. What's up, my people? Y'all know what time it is? See y'all in the kitchen. A spinach Alfredo lasagna is on our menu today. And we're going to jump right into this recipe. So let me tell you, I'm going to jump right into making the meat mixture first. So this is ground turkey and Italian sausage. So I have added mushrooms, onions, green peppers, celery, yellow bell peppers. But I'm going to list all of the ingredients and the measurements in the description box down below. You can use any kind of ground meat you want to use. So once again, one of those giving recipes where you can switch to your liking. It depends on what you like. All right, so here's what I'm using. I'm going to show you all the cheese. I'm going to use cream cheese, spinach, the works. So we're going to get into it. You're going to see it scrolling up there, but again, you'll be able to look at it in detail down below. And that is our sauce. So we've gotten our sauce ready. So I'm going to tell you about that sauce. So give me a couple minutes and we're going to talk about that. So what I'm doing is I'm just prepping everything so it's ready. So once I start assembling the lasagna, I can keep going with it. So I'm going to open up to, yes, today I'm using a jar Alfredo sauce, but I do have a recipe on my channel for making a homemade Alfredo sauce, which is 10 times better. But for demonstration purposes, we're going to use a jar of Alfredo sauce today. Okay, the cream cheese, I want to open up all the cheese, open everything. So let me tell you about that red sauce. As far as that red sauce is concerned, I have a video on my channel on how to make a red pasta sauce. So that is what you're going to do here. So instead of putting it in the video here and just taking all of that time to make that red sauce, just go to the other video and you can use that red sauce for spaghetti, lasagna, anything. You can make it as meaty as you want. You can leave the meat out and just use veggies. So that's a good recipe. Take a look at that video. And trust me, you'll learn a lot. Now, let me tell you about this lasagna very, very quickly. The reason why it's a spinach Alfredo lasagna is because the middle layer is spinach, cheese, and Alfredo sauce. Oh, this is so good. But the other layers, they are the regular red sauce, the meat, and the cheese. So check this out. All right, so if you don't know how to assemble a lasagna. Now check this out. I'm using those noodles. They're already oven ready, so they're already cooked. If you have to boil your noodles, do that. But it just makes it so much easier if you use the ones that are already ready to go in the oven. Because all of that boiling and everything, that's a lot to do. I do it. I have done it, but I just prefer this shortcut here. Great tip. I'm telling you, use the oven ready noodles if you can. All right. All right, so you want to put a layer of sauce in the bottom of the pan. Now you want to put the thinnest layer possible. All right, and so what you want to do now, I'm going to give you an overhead look of everything because the overhead view allows you to see exactly what I'm doing. All right, so you can see I didn't go crazy with the sauce in the bottom of the pan. It's not necessary. I've got round corners on the pan, so what I do here personally is take off a piece of that corner of that lasagna and just fit it. So that noodle will fit, but you can put extra pieces, but you'll see as I'm assembling what I'm gonna do, because I'm telling you, I don't like to waste anything. So those little pieces of noodles, they can go right in here. Believe me, it can. All right, so again, I'm gonna just measure because I want to make sure these layers fit down into the pan. I don't want to have to wait until it cooks some and then sinks down or something like that. I want all of these layers in evenly as I can possibly get them, as a matter of fact. Really easy recipe. Sounds like it's not. Lasagna is super easy. All right, so you put that thin layer at the bottom. You put some noodles in. Get the sauce. Get another layer of sauce. Now you want to be a little more generous with this layer of sauce. So on top of that, we're going to do that. So, and just remember, if you make too much of this sauce, which you can never make too much, it freezes very well. So you can take it out on any day, boil some noodles or some macaroni, some kind of pasta, and put it on top. So you won't waste it if you make a really big batch of it. Heck, you can make another pan of lasagna. I'm just saying. Can't go wrong with lasagna. lasagna. You can't go wrong with it. All right, so on top of that layer, you want to start putting your cheese. Now, be really generous with your cheese. Now, here's where everybody's lasagnas are different. You can change this cheese, so you can use a mild cheddar, a sharp cheddar. You can use a smoky cheddar. You can use a Gruyere, a smoked Gouda, a regular Gouda. All right, so you can mess around here with the cheeses in here, so you can just slightly vary the flavor in your lasagna just by doing that. Switching up the cheese a little bit, if you know what I'm saying. So, all right, so you're gonna get that meat, that cheese, and then you're gonna get another layer of noodles on the top. Again, so we want to make sure we got them fitting down in here, as I said before. And we're going to move on. So if you haven't hit that like button already, please hit that like button, that subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, so you will be one of the first ones to know when I put a new video up. And by all means, people, my family, leave a comment. All right, back to our recipe. All right, see those little extra pieces of noodle I'm tearing off that pasta? Put it right in there. All right, so these noodles, they had a slight gap in between them. So I put another lasagna noodle right there. It doesn't hurt. You can do that. Trust me. You won't have too much. This is going to be really good. All right, so I'm going to put the Alfredo sauce. Again, I'm going to tell you that I'm going to direct you to one of my tutorials where I show you how to make a very easy homemade Alfredo sauce. But today, for tutorial purposes and just to save some time, especially if it's a weeknight or you're in a hurry, you can use a jar Alfredo sauce. Now, in this recipe, it won't make a lot of difference. Those jar Alfredo sauces are generally, and they're not, as good as the homemade. But in this recipe, because it's being used with the red sauce, the combination of the meat and the noodles, you can get away with it in this recipe. So I am telling you from experience and what I know. All right, so be very generous with that layer of that Alfredo sauce. Be really, really generous with it. And I want to apologize ahead of time because by the end of the video, I didn't really get a close-up once I cut it, what that layer looks like in there. All right, so this is cream cheese. If you choose at this point to use cottage cheese or ricotta, do that. So I will use cottage cheese. I do not like ricotta cheese, so I don't use it in lasagna. I find that this cream cheese, it's creamier. It gives it another type of texture I really like. So it is creamy, but it adds a little bit more flavor to it too. It's so good. Good though. Give it a try. If you haven't tried it before, give it a try. I promise if you like cream cheese, then you won't be disappointed. But the cream cheese will mix in with the Alfredo sauce anyway, so it kind of like gives that Alfredo sauce another depth of flavor. So believe me, this is very, very good. I would not steer you wrong. All right, so just put little pieces all over, but be generous with that too. Just want to make sure your middle layer, yes, it does stand out. All right, so the middle layer. Now, here's the difference with the cheese and the middle layer. Whatever the cheese is that you do use here, make sure it's a white cheese. It doesn't have to be, but just aesthetically for purposes of just, the fact that we eat with our eyes. This is wonderful when you cut into it. You get to look at that. You got a white layer in there. So it is so good. It works. I've been making this for a while. This is a very, very good lasagna. All right. All right, so if you're just tuning in on this part, you're just walking in the room or something, who knows? We're working on the Spinach Alfredo layer of our lasagna. It's the middle layer. All right, so now we're going to lay some fresh spinach leaves. These are already washed and ready to use, but do check them for dirt or any other substances on there. But you can use these, just lay them out. But let me tell you right here, you can use a frozen lasagna, a frozen spinach, squeeze the water out of it, as much of the water as you can. And then you kind of want to dot it over. The same as we did that cream cheese, that's how you would do that frozen spinach. So you just want to try to get a whole layer of it. All right, so these leaves, just lay them out, but make sure they're dry. All right, don't wash these leaves and then don't spin them dry or either pat them dry. So don't put them in there with that water. Don't want a watery lasagna. We've already got to get it to set at the end before we can cut it into those perfect squares we see, right? Yeah, so no water. And so that's the thing too. You know, that's another tip I will give you, that if you do decide that you want to use those other lasagna noodles, well, you know when you boil them on top of the stove, you're going to boil them al dente. So you're going to boil them like halfway until you still see that little white part in the middle of them. You will not cook them all the way, not at all. And what it is with the sauce is you'll make the sauce with a little more liquid in it. And the reason why that liquid is going to cook those lasagna noodles after you put your aluminum foil or either the top on your pan. So that's a way to use the other types of noodles. But we can use a thicker sauce. And the reason why we can use a thicker sauce is because we're using oven-ready noodles. So that's the difference with that. Very, very easy. All right, so if you're a beginner, I just want to show you that I'm going to lay this layer out like this, and then we'll come back and put noodles on the top of it. So keep watching. Quick recipe. We're almost at the end of the video. You wouldn't believe it. We're almost at the end of it. So most everything at the end will come from directions and how long to leave it in the oven and things like that. So, all right, so we got that whole layer on there. So now I'm going to come back and watch this. Did you notice something, right? Don't put the meat here. The meat is in a red sauce. So we keep this middle layer white. White cheese, white sauce, the cream cheese, so everything's white. Do not. So when we get to this top layer, we're going to cover this with noodles, and then our top layer will once again become a red sauce layer. Right? So see, doesn't matter if you crack that, just put that on the top of it. All right, look at that. And I'll put the meat mixture all on the top of it, same thing we did with the first layer. All right, now you'll be very, very generous with your cheese. So you can see I got a triple cheddar here that I'm using. So again, whatever kind of cheese you like. All right, and you're going to fill every space on the top. Now this is a chunky lasagna for me. I like chunks of meat in it. So not really, really huge, but I like it. So you'll see after it bakes, you're going to see through the cheese that it'll be chunks of meat on the top. All right. So now this is not enough. I want to put cheese all over. So all around those edges right. All right, so cover your pan with whatever you're going to cover it with and cover it tightly. You're going to put it in the oven for about an hour. And after an hour, you're going to come back and you're going to check it. So you're going to stick a knife or a fork down in there and you're going to see how giving those noodles are. If it sticks straight down in there, your lasagna is ready. What's going to happen after that is you're going to take the top off it. You're going to take the top off it and you're going to put it back in the oven so that your cheese can brown. So look at it now. And we're going to come right back. All right. So this is 15-20 minutes later, having it in the oven with no top on it. We got it browned all around the edges right there. So you can see that cheese melted. This is absolutely beautiful. All right, so here's where I cut it. I'm sorry you will not get a close-up of this to see that spinach Alfredo layer. I am sorry about that. But however, this is a very, very good lasagna, and you've got to try it. Trust me, it's good. So you can see I'm picking all over it, eating it, but you can see the spinach right there. And the problem with this right here is I did not let it set all the way because I wanted to show you guys how it would look, and then I wanted to taste it on camera. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. See y'all next time. For more great recipes, tips, and ideas, check out some of my other videos.